Before we get started, I just wanted to say there is some Persona 5 Royal footage in today's episode, and while I'm not going to be showing any major story reveals beyond things we already knew from trailers, if you want to go into Royal completely blind, consider this a mild spoiler warning. I'd also like to thank Nenilein for helping me with the Japanese translations, and Lettuce Sauce for providing me with Royal footage. This episode wouldn't have been possible without their help, and I've included links to their channels in the description below. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's dive right in. Welcome to an unfathomable new episode of the Demonic Compendium, the show where I discuss the mythology, design, and game history of your favorite Megami Tensei demons. Persona 5 Royal has just released, and there's a certain King in Yellow I'd like to discuss someday. But for now, we'll have to make do with his servants, because today, we're talking about Byakhee. Byakhee are mysterious creatures that were born from the Cthulhu mythos created by renowned author H.P. Lovecraft. Their appearance is apparently difficult for human beings to describe, with the most notable feature being their bat-like wings. They have a special body part known as a hewn that allows them to travel near instantaneously through space, and while technically considered evil since they are loyal followers of the being Hastur, they can be utilized by humans relatively safely. By blowing a special whistle and calling out a specific chant, the Byakhee will be summoned to your location, and provided you've ingested the special space mead, which protects those that ingest it from the effects of time and space, the Byakhee can be used as mounts that can bring you just about anywhere you need to go. Their earliest appearance was in Lovecraft's 1920 short story, The Festival, which was published in the January 1925 issue of Weird Tales. The story recounts a nameless narrator who was summoned to partake in a family festival in the town of Kingsport. When the star Aldebaran is above the town steeple, he's guided by robed figures through an underground crypt to a fungus-filled shore, where the cultists begin riding creatures that the text describes as a horde of tame, trained, hybrid winged things that no sound eye could ever wholly grasp, or sound brain ever wholly remember. They were not altogether crows, nor moles, nor buzzards, nor ants, nor vampire bats, nor decomposed human beings, but something I cannot and must not recall. Now, despite this famous description from Lovecraft himself, the creation of the Byakhee is often accredited to August Derleth, who expanded upon many aspects of the Cthulhu mythos in his own works. The Byakhee were primarily highlighted in two of his short stories, 1944's The House on Kerwin Street, and 1945's The Watcher from the Sky. In the former, they are often summoned by a man named Dr. Shrewsbury, who used them to travel for his research. The narrator of the story, Andrew Phelan, first described them as a monstrous, black-winged, bat-like creature which traveled with the speed of light. And in The Watcher from the Sky, the narrator, Abel Keane, describes his experience seeing Andrew summon one as there, silhouetted against the red-hued sky over Innsmouth, I saw a great, flying thing, a great, bat-like bird that came sweeping down and was lost briefly in the darkness. The Byakhee. Then it rose up again, and it was not alone. Something more was there between its great wings, where it mounted swiftly out of sight. The story is also the only one of the three I've mentioned today that specifically refers to the Byakhee by name. Now, the simple reason why Derleth is said to have created the Byakhee, despite them supposedly appearing in a Lovecraft story over a decade before The House on Kerwin Street, is because there's actually a fair amount of debate over whether or not Derleth's Byakhee are the same as the unnamed creatures from Lovecraft's The Festival. Of course, most pop culture, Megami Tensei included, seems to operate on the assumption that they are, combining the more detailed lore from Derleth with the physical abnormalities highlighted by Lovecraft. A translation of Byakhee's Compendium entry from Persona 5 Royal refers to them as a winged creature that, according to the Cthulhu mythos, serves the evil god Hastur. Its strange appearance resembles a cross of reptiles and wasps, and it has the power to travel through interstellar space. It is said that if you are able to summon this creature, you can get it to appear in any possible place you choose. Now, if you'll all excuse me, I won't be saying their master's name again, because we all know what happens when you say the King in Yellow's name 3 times. Design-wise, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, I love this thing's design. When you look up depictions of the Byakhee, you typically get things that just kinda look like a bug had a baby with a gargoyle, and I don't really get the idea that its appearance is truly difficult for humans to comprehend. Even on the cover of the magazine Derleth's stories were published in, they just kinda look like someone's green bat fursona. But this thing, oh man, where to start? Like its neck is up above its head and its mouth is down by its legs, and I don't know what these things are, but I'm gonna assume that's the uhhh. And it's got these gross black tentacle fingers, and naturally you've gotta have those bat wings. The color scheme is bright and colorful and definitely makes it clear that they serve the king in yellow. Kaneko created some fantastic Lovecraftian horrors in the Persona 2 duology, but Byakhee is actually one of my favorites, and it's why I was so excited to see it was coming back in Persona 5. Like, the day I saw that is pretty much when I decided to do this episode on it. As far as game history goes, the Byakhee have only appeared in 3 games, and 2 of those games are Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. In the original PS1 version, the Byakhee are special demons that only appear in the optional bomb shelter dungeon. Their most notable feature is that if the player is wielding their lord, him who is not to be named, the two will actually have a conversation, a term I use pretty loosely in this particular instance, which results in the acquisition of the Golden Honey item, a reusable item that works like the Estoma spell, but better because it repels all encounters. It's also worth mentioning that in the localization of Eternal Punishment, the creatures are incorrectly referred to as Byakhee, and the Golden Honey is presumably meant to be the Space Mead from Derleth stories. I can only assume this would have been fixed in the PSP version had it been localized, and at the time of making this video, I have no idea if it was rectified in Royal. In the PSP version, a pair of Byakhee appear as mini-bosses in the first part of the new Tatsuya scenario, where, according to a translation, Tatsuya even describes them similarly to how they were mentioned in the festival. They are not altogether hornets, nor crabs, nor ants, nor vampire bats, but creatures unpleasantly, horrifically eerie. And then, like a true Lovecraftian being, the Byakhee just kinda lay dormant until a certain trailer for Persona 5 Royal showed up in June of 2019, where we saw firsthand that not only was Byakhee coming back to the Persona series, but plays an active role in the awakening of Kasumi's persona, Sendralon, and is fought in the New Palace. A rough translation of its shadow name is the masses of bodies worshipping the evil. While Byakhee does have a bit more to do in regards to Royal's new content, the game just came out in English, so I will not be spoiling anything further. If you want to learn more about Byakhee's role in Royal, you're just gonna have to play the game for yourself. And so there you have it, Byakhee, the hewn having horrendously horrifying hornet hybrid hailers of Hastur that